Right. Jackie, throughout the whole political campaign, you mentioned and stressed how important the economy was. You've had the budget. Was that the budget you expected?
Yes, it was, Michael. We obviously had to get to grips with borrowing. You know, we couldn't carry on the way we were. We couldn't carry on borrowing. Sooner or later, we had to start tackling that debt. And I'm very pleased that George Osborne did grab the bull by the horns. He's made some very tough decisions, but they were necessary decisions. And now that we've started as we mean to go on. So we'll curb that spending, we'll reduce that borrowing, and in doing so, ultimately, we'll be able to take less in terms of tax and get the private sector moving again, because that's really what we need to do to tackle this. It's not just about spending, it's about getting growth going again, getting the economy moving. And I think the decisions that he's taken in terms of how he's actually going to spread the tax and spread the spending will actually accelerate that. So I'm pleased with it given where we are, but obviously not so pleased that we had to do it, because actually, you know, lots of people are going to be worse off as a consequence at the moment. But in the long run, we will all be better off.
You're saying worse off, but a lot of people could be out of a job. I mean, some people say 20% of Thurrock Council employees could be out of a job. What's your response to that?
I don't think it'll come to that, actually. I mean, we are obviously tackling the whole public sector wage bill by pay freezing, and which will mean that anyone earning more than £20,000 will have their pay frozen, but we will still give index-linked increases to people earning more than that. And obviously, once you start tackling the bill in that way, exponentially, you're reducing the future burden on spending. I would like to think that actually the measures we've taken to boost business will offset any potential cuts that we'll have in jobs. It certainly won't be the increase in unemployment that Labour was scaremongering about in advance of the budget. I think we've been quite clear that what we're trying to do here is actually rebalance the economy, and I think increasingly you'll see that the focus will be on tackling welfare and welfare reform, because that is where the biggest chunk of our expenditure comes from. And if we tackle that, it becomes a virtuous circle, because you get people back into work, contributing in taxes, and then we're all better off. And I think it's over decades, to be honest, over decades we've had a welfare system that's emerged which frankly makes it unattractive to work for some people. And I think one of the key decisions that George announced this week was the whole tackling of housing benefit and having a cap at £400 a week, because to be honest, if you're getting more than £400 a week in housing benefit, work doesn't pay. And if work doesn't pay, we're not going to get the economy going.
David Cameron's over in America at the moment, and Barack Obama seems to be warning about a double-dip recession. Is Barack Obama wrong?
I think we're looking at two different situations here, and I think certainly we were always a lot more susceptible to what was happening globally, just because of the level of debt in our economy. So tackling our problems is slightly different to America, but I mean, I think we are in uncharted territory here, because what you've had to do is actually withdraw a huge chunk of money from the economy because of the over-dependence on credit. And how that's going to feed out just remains to be seen. I think there is a head of steam that suggests that there'll be a double-dip recession, but I'm actually satisfied that really, provided we get away from that dependence on debt to fuel the economy, ultimately we'll be much better off.